Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. So I'm now 2 weeks post-surgery. It's hard to see here. The healing is almost completely healed. I mean, the wounds are almost completely healed. Fluffiness is going down and everything. So making great progress. Everyone has been impressed on how fast I'm healing. And yeah, things are going pretty well here. So let's go ahead and just jump into our episode. We're looking at Cheers Season 3, Episode 18, called Barbet. This episode first aired on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1985. It was directed by James Burrows, written by Jim Parker. He passed away in 2018 from an undisclosed cause. Guest cast Michael Richards as Eddie Gordon. Um, Michael Richards, of course, is best known for playing Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld. Um, Around 2019, I believe it was, he kind of got into some trouble because he was making racist remarks. So he pretty much is no longer in the limelight. He pops up occasionally, but he hasn't been doing a whole lot. I did try to see if there's possibility to get him, but I don't even think I think he didn't even have contact info at this point on IMDb Pro. I debated it because I was like, he's lost fans because of what he did, but he was on Cheers and he's a Cheers person. So I was like, um, a Cheers guest. So I debated to even try, and I did look just in case, but it didn't work. So that will happen. Lori Walters as Jacqueline Bissett. Apparently, there's two Lori Walters because I contacted an agent that on IMDb Pro and it had the Cheers listed. So I don't know if there's two of them or they just don't have her anymore. But the person was like, "Yeah, we don't work for her." I was like, okay, your name's listed, but and they didn't say we don't anymore. Um, Actually, what they said was we don't rep this Lori Walters, so that's why I think there was two of them. However, I couldn't find any other information, so the other one I'm not able to contact. Thomas Babson is Tom Sherry. Dean Ditmas as Harrison Fielder. He passed away in 1989 from an undisclosed cause. And Al Rosen as Al, and of course he passed away in 1990 from cancer. Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience, was said by John Ratzenberger for this episode. I haven't really been paying attention, keeping track, but I do believe John Ratzenberger has the most Cheers is filmed in front of the live studio audiences. He's got the right voice for it. So our summary cold open. Cliff and Norm are fighting over Anton Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard and Henrik Ibsen's The Master Builder. Diane asks about it, wanting to help. Cliff asks, "What were you watching on TV that night Norm stuffed his face with cheese doodles?" Diane tells him it was Ibsen and it was taco chips. Norm loses the bet and pays Cliff. Cliff tells him, "Don't argue with me on the classics." Where everybody knows your name plays. Sam comes out of the office and a man yells, "Hey, Sammy, long time." Sam has no idea who the man is. He asks Carl and the guys, but they've never seen him. Sam says he wishes Coach was there because he would know. Norm asks where Coach is, and Sam says he went to Vermont to renew his license because he heard the test was easier. He says he will be back next week. So a couple things came to my mind with this scene. One, of course, as we know, um, oh, Nicholas Colasanto passed away February 12th, 2 days before this episode aired, 5 days after the last episode. So that's why they have to cover. As I said last week, he is in a couple more episodes that were filmed previously, before the end of the season. But they had to cover, and they had to do that pretty quickly, make the changes so that they'll be set for the rest of the season or whatnot. That had to be done. So I'll say this is one of the covers to say why Coach is not there, and they do this each week. Another thought is he has to take some later it said, did he pass the driver's test? Uh Did his license lapse? Which case he shouldn't be driving anyway. But normally, when your license expires or when you need to renew your license, you don't take a test. You just pay more money. At least that's how and maybe it's a New York thing. I don't know. Or maybe it's the current times. Again, don't know. I was born in 1980, so I was only five, not driving in 1985. And then my other thought was, are you allowed to go to another state to do this? Um, does not affect how I feel about the show in any way. I'm just curious about these things because I just don't know. And I'm a curious type person. Oh, and also, it says he'll be back next week. Vermont is not that far from Massachusetts. I know because New York is not far from either of them, so that means they're probably not too far from each other. It would not take an entire, we're all on the East Coast here. It would not take an entire week to go to Vermont and then back. So I'm wondering if maybe Coach took it off like for vacation. Of course, obviously they had to have Coach not be there. So I understand that obviously because we don't have Nicholas Calasanto anymore. Just the logic in the having to go for a week. So just some thoughts that I had. Diane tells him to just ask the man his name. She tells him it's better 1 minute embarrassment than to make a fool of yourself. Sam says he can handle it because he's good at thinking on his feet. There's a funny scene after this. I didn't write it down, but sorry, my ears are itching. Um, when he says he's good at thinking on his feet, Diane says, "Well, I have seen you add and subtract on them," and Norm says, "Subtraction must really hurt." Sam returns to the man. He asks him about his work. The man says he works at my home. Sam laughs. Eddie says, "Yeah, I'm still working the same crummy job stuffing envelopes, but I'm glad you find it's funny." Sam finally gives up and asks, "Who the hell are you?" The man says that his name is Eddie Gordon. He also informs Sam that about a year ago, Sam bet him the bar that he would marry Jacqueline Bissett. Sam says he must have been drinking tequila since he always wants Bissett when he is drinking tequila. Eddie asks him if he always writes it down and signs it in front of witnesses. Eddie gives Sam a copy of the signed bet. Sam tells him that it was obviously a joke and tells Eddie, as a drinking buddy, you stink. And I realize I've seen this episode more times than I can count. I've seen all the episodes more times than I can count. Um, which is kind of weird because usually when people do rewatches, it's like, oh, I haven't seen it in a million years. Yeah, it's my favorite show. I watch it all the time. I'm just going through them again now, one by one, obviously for the podcast. But growing up, I always apparently missed the whole a year ago line or didn't make the connection, but I always thought, okay, so Sam was drinking during his ball days, and this was what he did. This happened about a year ago, which means it was when Diane and Sam broke up. Sam started drinking. Diane went to the loony bin. I'm just quoting. That's what they called it. So it was actually, yeah, that's when it happened. It was during that, shortly after the breakup. Norm and Cliff start supporting Eddie after Eddie mentions free wings. This is another classic trope that we see all the time with Cheers, where the gang supports Sam or the bar, something related to the bar, usually Sam, and then somebody subs something and they completely flip and go to the other person because they have something better. So we see this again. They're now like, "Oh, great, Eddie, you get the bar, we get free wings," and they're trying to think of other things they can do. Eddie tells Sam that his attorney says that he has a real shot at winning the bar, which I could see why Tom here does not pass his bar exam because apparently a lot of lawyers are pretty clueless in Boston, at least in the Cheers universe, not in the real universe, but on the Cheers universe. If you have been drinking, especially if you're drunk, like Sam was, you cannot sign a document. It won't hold up in court. However, it is also mentioned. Um, Actually, it's gonna come up here. Tom looks at the copy Sam has. Tom is the guy trying to become a lawyer. Cliff makes fun of him because he still has not passed the bar exam. Tom says it won't hold you. Tom says that it won't hold up because one, it's not a real contract, and two, Sam was drunk when he signed it. So this is what I was bringing up, and Diane agrees with Tom. However, Sam then explains he can't go to court. He explains he drank his way out of baseball and the press was not kind to him, and he does not want to go through that embarrassment again. So while it's true, he just does not. He doesn't have to do anything because um he was drunk at the time. He doesn't want to go that route. Norm tells him to meet and marry Jacqueline Bisset. Sam says it would take at least a week to meet, woo, and marry the actress. Carla points out it does not say the actress. She suggests that Sam finds another Jacqueline Bisset, marry her, and win the bet. They work on finding another Jacqueline Bisset. Carla finds one who is now 93 and has a 94-year-old husband. Cliff says he found a Jacqueline Bisset in West Virginia who's 26 and single, which it would be about 10 years younger than Sam, if I remember correct. No, because we're now farther in. He would be, he'd be close to 40 at this point, I'm thinking. Because I remember correctly, Sam was in his mid to late 30s by the time when Cheers started. I assume he's about the same age as Ted Danson. Sometimes people play younger or older, but I think usually when characters like this, they're about the same age. He yeah, he's getting close to 40 if he's not already 40 at this point. I don't have my phone next to me, it's charging, or I would look up what year Ted Danson was born because I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was late 40s. I want to say 1949, but I'm not completely sure. I used to know all this really cool. Here, let's just try it while I randomly check this because now I need to know. So we'll go here to Google, type in Ted Danson, Ted Danson. Okay, so Ted Danson was born in 1947. How I was close. So assuming they are about the same age, he was 38. I was close again. I said about 40. So he would have been 38. She was 26. So it'd be a 12-year difference. But it was only a marriage of convenience, basically, and they were going to get a divorce right after he won the bet. So Jacqueline Bissett is coming tomorrow. Cliff explains that she told her, wait, that he told, tongue tied, try that again. Cliff explains that he told her that she won a trip to Boston. He also told her she won first class tickets and some other things. Sam says his problems are over. Diane points out he still has to get her to marry him. Sam says when she sees him, she will fall for the old Sammy spell. After the commercial break, Sam is on the phone with an unseen, unheard coach. Sam congratulates him. When he gets off the phone, Carl asks if he passed his driver's test. Sam responds, nope, he found Vermont. That could be another reason that he had a week in case he got lost. Norm asks Sam when his ex-wife to be will arrive. Sam says Cliff went to pick her up at the airport. Cliff comes in with Jacqueline Bissett. Sam asks if Cliff explained why he needs her. She says he did, and she's not interested in marrying him. Sam offers to take her on a guided tour of Boston. He says he will show her the city and tell his story, and then they can go to City Hall for a license. She says no. Carla tells her that anyone in the bar would do anything for Sam. The others agree. Jacqueline finally agrees to go on the tour and think about helping Sam. They had mentioned the USS Constitution in that conversation. Norm says that all these places are here in Boston, and people go to them every day while he sits there and drinks his beer. Diane says, it's sad. Norm replies, but hey, no one's forcing them to go. Of course, Diane's referring that it's sad because Norm doesn't even know about these historical places that are in Boston. Later that evening, Tom says he discussed the situation with one of his law professors. Sam does not need to go through all that trouble. And I thought, didn't we already go through that earlier? That Sam was going to do it because he didn't want to be embarrassed. Sam and Jacqueline return laughing. Jacqueline says that they were at the U.S. Constitution and somebody recognized Sam. She did not know that he was a ball player. Carla cuts her off and asks her if she's going to marry Sam. Sam says that she has not decided yet. Jacqueline explains that she always thought her wedding would be a beautiful and special. At this point, Norm says it will be beautiful and special. You get married in the bar, and she's like, "A bar, beautiful and special." And Norm tells her, "Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy." She agrees to help Sam. However, she asks if she can call her Pa and tell him. Diane tells Sam that the Justice of Peace is running late because his wife is having a baby. Sam is worried, but we learn that Norm sent $1 to a church that advertised in the back of the Rolling Stone magazine, and he is an official minister of the Church of the Living Desert. So, question for y'all that are older than me, because I was not alive in the 60s. As I said, I was born in 1980. Was this really a thing? Did they really have like churches and Rolling Stone magazine or any others where you just sign up and pay $1 and you get to be a minister? Because that sounds kind of weird. So I was just curious if this was a real thing that this actually happened. So if you know, the deal at the end when I announce and you could just send me a line, that'd be great. The Justice of Peace comes in. He announces that he just became a father. Carla responds, "Yeah, yeah, we're all thrilled. Now get your flabby buns over here." Eddie comes in. Sam informs him that he's about to marry Jacqueline Bissett. He opens the office door to show him and adds she's got ID to prove it. Eddie suggests they make another arrangement so Sam does not have to get married. Eddie suggests 5 grand at first. Sam refuses. Eddie then suggests Sam hire, or sorry, Eddie then suggests Sam get him a date and free drinks for the rest of his life. Again, Sam refuses. Eddie suggests free drinks for the rest of the night. Sam refuses. Eddie asks for a drink on the house, but again, Sam says no. Eddie then asks for one of those olives with the pimentos. Sam hands him an olive. Eddie holds up the olive and says, "You think about this the next time you shoot your mouth off in some bar." And then he leaves. This is my favorite scene in the episode. Michael Richards, the way he just keeps going, as you know, what's his character? Eddie keeps going down and down, and Sam Goose refusing, and then the olive. That's just it's classic, perfect. Everyone cheers as Sam announces drinks on the house. Diane reminds him of the young woman still in his office waiting to marry him. Jacqueline comes out of the office. She tells Sam her dad is a baseball fan and he sort of remembers Sam. Sam asks Diane to break the news to Jacqueline. Jacqueline says, "Oh, that's good." Diane asks if she was following for Sam, even a little bit. Jacqueline says she doesn't. She wasn't. And Diane points out that he's an attractive man. Jacqueline replies, "Yes, he's almost as attractive as he thinks he is." She asks what sort of woman would go out with Sam. Diane tells her pathetic wretches. Jacqueline says, "They must be someone who lacks self respect." Sam comes out of the office to see if everything's okay. He starts to explain that he and Diane dated for a year, but before he can, Diane elbows him and he falls. I gave this episode 4 out of 5 beer nuts. As I said, I absolutely love the scene where Eddie asks for the olive. Great scene. Lori Walters, who played Jacqueline Bissett, does a great job. That the way she talks, and Carly makes a comment day saying, "You don't really talk like that." Um, just good all around. I actually gave the MVP, which might this is gonna probably surprise you guys. Because I didn't give it to Ted Danson, I didn't give it to Lori Walters. I actually gave it to Rhea Perlman. The reason I gave MVP this week to Rhea Perlman is she helped Sam through the entire process. She's the only one when everybody's like, "Oh, good, I did get the bar, then we get wings." She's like, no, the whole time she was loyal to Sam. And her whole dialogue with different people, it was so good. Like the minister there, and she's like, "Get your flabby buns over here." She's telling Jacqueline Bissett, "You don't talk like that." Phenomenal job by Rhea Perlman. Like, decided that was what I'm giving it to. For best dressed, over here, I gave it to Sam Malone. Great plaid shirt here. Really like that. This, by the way, is the scene when he's trying to figure out who Eddie is. Our Grand Slam line is between Carla and Diane. Hey, oh, Carla starts. Hey, wait, I got an idea. You mean you actually conceived something besides a child? A bitter and unprovoked attack. I like it. Our on baseline. Oh, I can't do that. I didn't know that. Okay, we're just hoping that's up. Okay, hoping it is up. Sorry, you'll see in a second what I'm randomly about. Shiny object, ADHD. Our on baseline between Diane and Sam when Diane tells him about the minister being late. She says, well, his wife is having a baby. So his work was finished a long time ago. Here's a little known fact, and I'm going to share screen while I share the little known fact. The Jacqueline Bisset that they're referring to is a British actress. She has over 100 acting credits, including Murder on the Orient Express, the TV movie Anna Karenina, and most recently Long Shadows. And this is what got a picture. She's in her 80s now. This was her from about 1985. So in case you weren't familiar with her, and I wanted to put it from when the show takes place, this is who they were actually talking about, Jacqueline Bisset. If you like this episode, oh yeah, I forgot to do the background. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, follow, you know the deal, all that junk. Comment, there we go. And as always, please also join the Facebook group Cheers, that's One Woman's Opinion. Follow us on Instagram at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. Twitter X at One Woman Opinion. Remember, no S. Follow the Reddit uh, group thing. Cheers Rewatch Podcast. And as always, feel free to email us with questions, comments, etc. at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast at gmail.com. Next week, we'll be looking at Cheers Season 3, Episode 19, Behind Every Great Man. And next Friday, July 31st, I'll be doing a bonus episode. Michael Richards, who played Eddie, he happened to star in a short-lived TV series with Rhea Perlman and future Cheer star, future from where we are now, that is, Kirstie Alley, and the show named Kirstie. So I decided it'd be fun to recap the pilot episode of Kirstie. So that'll be seen. I'll put that up on Friday, July 31st. And that's One Woman's Opinion.